Good evening. Welcome to the September 5th Township Council meeting. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting was provided on December 21st, 2023 by sending written notice and electronic notice to the Courier News and the Breeze, posting on the website and the bulletin board in the municipal building, and filing with the township clerk. We could have roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch.
Here.
Councilman Codilla.
Here.
Councilman Nogales.
Here.
Councilman Pedroso. President Ring.
Here. If you are able, we would ask that you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask Councilman Nogales to lead us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the minutes for approval will be carried to our next meeting. We'll start with Township Council reports from Councilman Nogales.
Thank you. Labor Day has come and gone, and so passes the unofficial transition from summer to fall. School is back in session, so please be mindful as the daytime hours shorten that in a few weeks our older kids will head out to school buses while it is still dark. Typing about the winter months reminds me of the need to get your cars prepped for the colder times, including frost on your windshield. Keep your scraper handy. Earlier today, Alan Credill and I sat through a refresher course on payment in lieu of taxes, commonly known as pilot. You will hear more about pilots in the coming months as the council works through a number of redevelopment issues. I've been doing research on unfunded state mandates, a topic I raised at a previous council meeting. One of our agenda items for tonight is the ordinance on stormwater. It is unclear as of this time whether the stormwater ordinance requirement and the cost associated has been presented to the Council of Local Mandates, abbreviated as NJCOLM. It is independent of the executive, legislative, and judicial branches, although its 9 members are directly appointed by the governor, president of the Senate, Senate Minority Leader, the Assembly Speaker, the Assembly Minority Leader, and the Chief Justice of the State Superior Court. Their job, when requested, is to review state-mandated issues and requirements to determine if they are unfunded mandates, meaning the state is telling us to do something but not providing funding to support the expense of that directive. The council has the constitutional authority to negate any requirement that meet the test for unfunded. More on that later. I received a letter from Senator Tom Kane telling me I have been nominated and selected as a senior of distinction, whatever that is. I will hear more about that honor at a meeting next week hosted by Senator Kane. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Kirsch?
Thank you. Just want to state that I wholeheartedly support Councilman Nogales' efforts to dig in on state mandates. You know, when we are told exactly what and how to do things without a price tag, it certainly provides a great challenge. So our pursuing that certainly makes a lot of sense. Other than that, a short report tonight. Land use boards on August, let me just get the date right, on August 20th, the planning board met to memorialize some previous work, and on the 27th, the zoning board met briefly to continue its work on the proposed Starbucks on Route 22 East near Morgan Lane. Fairly rapidly hit a roadblock associated with the plan for the drive-through, and the applicant is back to the drawing board, so to speak, and that's my report.
Thank you. Councilman Cordillo.
Okay, I'm pleased to say that I attended the session on pilots this afternoon with Howard, and also in reviewing our information this evening regarding stormwater management and mandates. I will say that the part that frustrates me with that is, you know, yeah, we do have to maintain our catch basins and so forth, but I offer the opinion that this mandate from the state does not go far enough, because what we're not allowed to do is to touch the brooks and the streams and clean them and the debris without violating some DEP provisions. If I'm not correct on that, Mr. Pappas, please correct me, but that's something that I have to express a lot of concern over. Other than that, it's look forward to our meeting tonight. We're swearing in Officer Fisher. This is a great time for us, and I look forward to the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. I do not have much more to add. Obviously, the end of August is a quiet time with a lot of folks away and getting ready for back to school. And I will just extend my best wishes to all of the students and faculty this year for a successful school year. With that, Mayor's report.
Thank you. The only thing I want to add from it's off the agenda is just to echo those same comments. My kid starts back to school this week, and my wife went back for her year of teaching. And so best of luck to all of the teachers, students, coaches, faculty, janitors, everybody that helps make our school system work. And I hope everyone has a great year. And it's a successful and exciting start to the fall. That's all I got.
Okay. Next up is swearing in. I'm not sure, Chief Mitzak, are you starting?
All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the swearing in of Officer Justin Fisher. I'd like to thank the mayor, along with council members, for supporting the police department and always being here for us. They really do support us, and it makes it easy for me to be the chief here. Officer Justin Fisher comes to us as a fully sworn police officer. He's worked for the Camden County Police Department for the past year. I'm sure his experience in Camden County has prepared him for his new position as a Bridgewater police officer. A little background about Justin. He was born in Voorhees, New Jersey, and currently resides in Burlington County. You better move closer, or it's going to be a long commute for you, my friend. He attended Lenape Regional High School. After high school, he attended Florida Southern College. He completed 1 year there before transferring to Rowan College, where he earned his bachelor's degree. After college and before he started his career in law enforcement, Justin worked for a live casino and hotel in Philadelphia and also at Harrah's Casino and Racetrack. He attended the Camden County Police Academy and became a certified police officer in 2023. For fun, he likes to work out, play golf, hang out with his dog and his girlfriend, but that's not in any particular order, okay? He also likes to travel. Recently, he took a trip to Italy, Turkey, and Greece. He did this because he knew when we hired him, he wasn't going to get any time off for at least a year. Because of his appearance tonight, he's obviously into fashion. I told him to look presentable, so he must have rented that tuxedo. I hope it's not due back tonight, all right? In closing, Justin, I thank you for becoming part of the Bridgewater PD family. We will provide you with the equipment and training to have a safe and effective career. Your goals are working here are to do your best every day for the Bridgewater community and with your fellow police officers, and to go home safe to your loved ones every night. And I always say this, but remember, you are the answers to someone's prayers. I wish you all health, success, and safety in your next 25 to 30 years as a Bridgewater Township police officer. I'd like to invite the mayor up for little remarks, and then we'll get you sworn in.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Officer, it's great to see you here tonight. We had an opportunity, obviously, to speak very briefly earlier. It's incredibly important to me to make sure I reiterate to our new officers as they get sworn in into their families about how much we value what you will do for us in our community. I mentioned my kids starting school, this week. So when you hear about what goes on around the country, the value that I have as a father and as a mayor here in town for what you will all do for our families is not lost for a second on me. And I can promise you that you will have my support, the administration's support, and the entire council's support in your career. We will make sure we give you the tools to succeed, as the chief mentioned. We will make sure that we have your back at every step along the way. So thank you for coming to our town. Thank you for serving our community. And to your family, thank you for lending him to us. We promise we will take good care of him and send him home at some point. 25 to 30 years, Chief? That's what we're shooting for?
Probably 29.
All right, so we will do that. And to all the officers who are here, my remarks obviously go for all of you as well. So thank you for your service, your continued service and dedication. Thank you for welcoming in a new officer to our town. And for those of you who are members of the PBA, I promise you we're getting to the contract. I promise you. So we will get that done as well. So thank you all. God bless you, and thank you for being here in Bridgewater.
All right, Justin, you want to come up with your mom and dad?
We are ready.
Job no workers' comp yet, right?
Yeah, not until he swears in. Face the crowd there, my friend.
Solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people. That I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the Bridgewater Township Police Officer according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
Yeah, yeah.
We already forewarned him. He has to, when Suzanne says stand somewhere. I think we would have one of these on wheels. Sir.
be very good at locking wheels. Yeah. You want to make sure they lock so someone can lean on it.
Oh, thank you. It was great. You didn't take my login thing, right? My sign-in sheet, you didn't take it. Oh, yeah. Yep, I'll make you copies. The mayor didn't sign? Oh. Here you go.
Council President? Oh, yeah. Listen, it's your meeting. I want to, yeah, it's,
It's your proclamation.
I would ask Sergeant Jamie Edwards to come up. We have a proclamation for ovarian cancer awareness, and before I read it, I just want to, to comment, and on the heels of swearing in a new officer, I just wanted to, take a moment to commend Jamie Edwards for all of his dedicated service to our community. When I was very young, I rode on the rescue squad. Sergeant Edwards was the crew chief on the nights that I rode before he was an officer, and so his dedication and service has spent decades, and I don't want to say decades and decades. I mean, you're not that old, but it's been a while. It's been you've dedicated a lot of your life to serving our community on the rescue squad and as a police officer, and including through your work and your family's work with regard to ovarian cancer awareness and your efforts to help our community that way, in a very personal way for you. So we have a proclamation, we'll read, Proclamation for Ovarian Cancer 2024. Whereas ovarian cancer remains the leading cause of death from gynecological cancers in the United States, and whereas ovarian cancer is often referred to as the silent disease because its symptoms are subtle and can easily be mistaken for those of other illnesses. And whereas there is currently no screening test for early detection for ovarian cancer, making it crucial to recognize its warning signs for timely diagnosis and effective treatment. And whereas symptoms of ovarian cancer may include abdominal and pelvic pain, difficulty eating, and frequent urination. And whereas because the early signs of ovarian cancer are frequently overlooked, increasing public awareness and understanding of the disease, its risk factors, and its subtle symptoms is vital to saving women's lives and ensuring timely diagnosis and treatment. Whereas September has been designated as National Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and whereas the Bridgewater Turn the Town's Teal campaign is committed to proactively raising awareness about ovarian cancer and its symptoms, and whereas the Turn the Town's Teal campaign was inspired by the vision of Renee Edwards, who initiated it in the township of Bridgewater in 2014 during her own battle with ovarian cancer. And whereas teal ribbons will be prominently displayed at the Township Municipal Complex to raise awareness about ovarian cancer and its early symptoms. And whereas Bridgewater Township strongly encourage all residents to educate themselves about ovarian cancer and to share knowledge and resources with their families, friends, and neighbors to combat this disease. Now, therefore, I, Matthew C. Mensch, Mayor of Bridgewater Township, along with the Township Council, do hereby proclaim the month of September as National Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month and urge all residents of the township to recognize the silent impact of, the significant impact of the Turn the Town's Teal campaign, to support those whose lives have been touched by ovarian cancer, and to participate meaningfully in this important awareness initiative. So, thank you for your efforts to bring this to us.
Thank you for your support. Matt, flip the podium.
It's a hard-working mayor right there.
That's right.
I actually commented earlier, it's only taken me 5 years on the council, but I think we need to put some locking wheels on the bottom of the podium. It would make things much easier. Are you Okay. So next up, we're going to have a presentation from the Community Recovery Champion Program. I don't know, just something to, and you guys introducing or?
Thank you. So briefly, and if Administrator Pappas has anything to add, I will let him do that. As the council may recall, the township was one of several municipalities who received money for opioid litigation settlement funds, to which we are looking to use some of to partner with organizations that will help us serve our local population with various programs to meet the needs of our community. So what you have here is a presentation from the Community Recovery Champion Program to talk about what they do and how they serve, can and will serve Bridgewater and the larger community. So that's the introduction.
Thanks, everybody. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. My name is Ken Musgrove. I am the Director of Recovery Support for Community in Crisis. We are Somerset County's Community Peer Recovery Center, and what we do is we're people in recovery helping other people on their recovery journey, no matter what that looks like. In addition to it being Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, it's also Recovery Month. And there are 26 million people in recovery in the United States, and we'd like to make sure that those people come out of the shadows and support not only themselves but their community. And one of the ways that we'd like to do that is through opioid settlement funding. The opioid settlement funding, the litigation asks that those funds go towards innovative programming to help ameliorate the damages that were caused by the marketing of the opioids to our communities. And one of the areas that we'd like to focus on is supporting those in recovery on their recovery journey. We propose to have a community recovery champion who would be someone very similar to a municipal alliance coordinator that would be embedded in the Bridgewater community, that would bring a focus on recovery, which is a little bit different than the prevention and treatment focus that we've had in the past. So we bring the lived experience of having been in an active substance use, but also the hope of recovery. And the idea is to educate the community on the resources that are available to them, and also that there are many people in their community that are in recovery, and we can help build on those successes and leverage those people's skills. The program we're asking for $20,000 from the funding, which would fund that part-time position at approximately 40 hours a month. And again, they would be embedded in Bridgewater. What we've learned as we've been the Community Peer Recovery Center is that each municipality in our county is a little bit different, has different needs, has different demographics, and hopefully by having somebody that's in the community that could work alongside the Community Police Alliance Coordinator, Damian Stackhouse, to give that personalized care that individuals need. I've submitted for the budget and the proposal to Wells, and if you could consider it, we'd greatly appreciate it. Do you have any questions?
Go ahead. So my recovery journey has been long and nonlinear. I got sober the very first time I was 16 years old, and I'll be celebrating 13 years on October 1st. And I'm not 29, in case anyone hasn't noticed. So there's been some gaps in there, and so we often don't do a good job with acute recovery, but we do probably an even worse job with sustained recovery. So the importance of having community support and recognizing that it's not only just staying abstinent, it's a matter of having the other social determinants of health taken care of, including employment, education, healthcare. Those things that folks when we're chaotically using, it's not something that we normally take care of. However, once given or being supported in resources, we very typically have much better outcomes. It's been studied that for every dollar spent on recovery support services, the community saves $7 in other services. So there's a dollar and cents
result from it. My own recovery, like I said, I get to 7 years ago, I quit my salary job and decided that I would turn my life to helping others, and I've been fortunate to be able to do that since that time, and I'm grateful to be able to do that. So thank you.
I should have mentioned to the council too that this is part, if you recall, when we received some of the opioid money, the direction that we gave to Wells as kind of the point person as our deputy administrator was to come up with a robust program in Bridgewater using some of these funds or other funds that are available. Our Municipal Alliance Committee gets funds through the county and state grants, but some of those programs are very limited in terms of what we can and can't do with them. There's kind of set programs. And so one of the challenges that we've had is wanting to expand some of our offerings with regard to assisting residents with some, as mentioned, innovative programs. So the Bridgewater Reach program, which was kind of rolled out last year with 3 main components to it, of what we'd like to do, which is a community recovery coach. That's a big, one big tenet of that program. The others are educational outreach and community nonprofit grants. So this is part of a comprehensive approach that we are trying to take to increasing our services in this area in Bridgewater. Thank you very much for your coming here today and your presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Ma'am, are you with the community grant?
I'm waiting for you to say public.
Okay, we haven't gotten there yet. Okay, if you could, yep, thank you. All right, any other comments on this or before we do move forward? We're good? Okay. So we will move forward, opening the meeting to the public. Need a motion?
Motion open, public.
I'll second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Members of the public wishing to address the council on any matter will be allowed 2 minutes to speak unless there's unusual circumstances. Would ask that when you come up that you please state your name as well as your address. If you do not feel comfortable publicly stating your address, I know there's a sign-in sheet on the podium as well. So go ahead.
Good evening, clerk, council, mayor. Linda Barth, 214 North Bridge Street, but more importantly, a member of the Middlebrook Symposium Planning Committee. Did you know that 5 years ago, the Middlebrook Symposium was held right in this very room? And the next one will be March 15th at the college. And did you know that Bridgewater has more of the property where Washington and the Continental Army stayed in 1777 and the winter of 78-79? And we're hoping to keep that saved. In fact, it was here that the British lost New Jersey. I was reading that you'll be negotiating with HUD concerning the use of Camp Cromwell. No doubt with federal money you'll be asked to do an archaeological study, and wouldn't it be great to find some artifacts from the Revolutionary War before we start construction of anything? The camp itself is an ideal site for a Middlebrook museum, of which we do not have one, and you already have buildings at Camp Cromwell. This could be the centerpiece for the country's 250th anniversary. So working with the township, we would, if given permission to use a building, seek grants for an exhibit designers, and we would hope for your permission to move ahead with that. Thanks to that, you have a Bridgewater History Committee, and I hope you'll open it to all interested people. And I'm going to leave with Grace some flyers in case you're interested in coming to the next symposium on March 15th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, members and council. Michael DiLoretto. I'm a resident at Bradley Gardens at 118 Oak Street. I'm here today with one of my neighbors, Paul Baduco, who also lives on Oak Street, and my 5-year-old daughter, Vivian, who's learning the right to petition your government under the First Amendment this evening. I'm here today on behalf of many of my neighbors to ask for consideration of improvements in the Bradley Gardens section of Bridgewater. I know many of you have been there for Bradley Gardens Little Loop and are familiar with the community. And I've been in Bradley Gardens now for about 10 years, and my wife and I chose to redo our home there and make a commitment to the community. And we'd really like to see some upgrades in the way that the community not only looks, but the way that it feels. If you would indulge me for a second, I have a handout that I could give. I could give it to council or to... But just to show that I'm not exaggerating what I'm about to say, I've included pictures in this. So the first is abandoned homes which exist in the community. I've just given you a few photos of what is on Linden and Oak Street right now. And these are properties which have been in the state of disrepair now for over 4 years. Another issue which comes up frequently, particularly with those of us that have young children, is the fact that there's no sidewalks in Bradley Gardens. And a lot of us like to walk our children to school in order to access the Bradley Gardens elementary school. The photo here that I've given you is of Chestnut and Perry Street, where the sidewalk literally ends when you enter from Raritan Borough into Bridgewater Township. Even if we were unable to get sidewalks, it would be great to have consistent road widths and curbs in the Bradley Gardens area. On Oak Street, our road is about 2 inches less wide as compared to Linden Street. We have no curbs, and the photos here show what happens when there's no curbs. People extend their driveways out into the streets, or the areas that are on the sides where people's grasses become part of the roadway. That issue doesn't exist on Linden Street because they have curbs. Lastly, I would just note for the council that in the Bradley Garden section, we have 2 great parks. We have Alfred Brown Park and Ardmere Park. And these are pictures which I took today of both parks. In Ardmere Park, weeds continue to grow throughout the playground area that my daughter and other children in the neighborhood use. And Alfred Brown Park has a large blacktop area which is currently not usable because of the state of disrepair it's in. That could become a skate park, it could become pickleball courts, it could become a basketball court, it could become a variety of things. You could even tear it out and make open space, but at least it'd be something that's usable. I know none of these things are cheap that we've asked for or that I've presented, and so I don't come here just asking for things. I also come here with ideas about how to pay for them, such as the sidewalks can be, grant funding is now available through the bipartisan infrastructure law, through the Safe Streets for All program. Towns, particularly one in New Jersey, got over $1 million this year for sidewalks. And those were new sidewalks that were being put in. I certainly think with the abandoned homes, if we don't have an abandoned property registry in Bridgewater, that's something that should be pursued under the new state law that was enacted. And lastly, as it relates to some of the park issues, I know that there'd be many of us in the community that would happily volunteer our time if we had materials that could potentially be provided by the town. And I know Home Depot would also potentially be willing to donate some of those too. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it this evening. Appreciate your consideration of these requests.
Thank you. Thank you for the effort you put into your packet.
She's lobbying for what we'd like to see in Alfred Brown Park.
What did you want? You wanted sidewalks? She does, because when we walk, the streets can get kind of crowded with cars.
Thanks, Mike.
Good evening, Jen Lochran. I'm going to put my address down. I couldn't be happier for the words that were just shared about Alfred Brown Park, and I would love to elaborate on it, but I came here prepared to speak about something else. I also didn't look at the agenda before I came to talk about an incident over Labor Day weekend involving the police, but the headline would look something like, house party happened, police came, and then nothing happened. But the reason that I wanted to bring it up was because the nothing that happened at this party, at this house party, happened with the utmost professionalism. And despite this, there's always a tension. And I'm not gonna go into details. I know, Mr. Mayor, you know I've mentioned my mayors, my neighbors, so you can kind of read between the lines. But for them personally, having the police come to a party that they were very excited about, it causes a tension. And it was something that, you could feel when you were there. But the next day, I talked to my friend. She was making potato salad, and I asked her, how she felt about the experience. Her response was, "Oh, he was so sweet." And my other neighbor, who was emptying the trash, he praised the woman officer that he spoke to in the driveway. Despite the discomfort, they had nothing but good things to say about the officers. My purpose for sharing this story really is that, and the police told us this, they have to respond to calls like this. And they recognized, the interruption that they had caused. But I want to add that it's okay for this person to have called the police. But I really wish they didn't feel like they had to. My neighbors are really amazing people. And I wish this person knew that the women that organized this party are trying to start like a event planning business. And this is the one party where they invite all their friends to kind of show off their amazing house in Bridgewater. And they come from like all over the country. I wish our neighbors knew that, and I wish they knew if they had walked over and knocked on the door, and that they would be treated kindly, that they would be welcomed or accommodated. And I get it also, but I wish it was different. In closing, I wanted to thank all of the officers that came, and also the one that came on New Year's Eve, who all the ladies of the party agree is our favorite. Again, the Bridgewater Police Department doesn't get recognized for the many times that nothing happens, and I just want to thank them for that, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Is the recorder on? I know there were some problems with that in the past.
As far as I know, yes.
Okay. First of all, I want to give a shout out to the Public Works Department for cleaning the drain on Hillside Avenue and Highland. During Ida, 5 houses flooded from the clogged drain.
You do need to state your name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joan G. Geiger.
Thank you.
So I want to, again, thank the Public Works Department for coming out and cleaning out that drain. After the 2 storms we recently had, it really made a difference. I also wanted to talk about gun control. In view of yesterday's only too common school shooting and the concerns expressed about incidents with our police officers, once again, I think it's necessary to discuss gun control. Contemplate this. Our Bridgewater children and teenagers are deeply concerned about gun safety. They have drills in school to prepare for an active shooter. Stop for a moment and think about that, a 3-year-old. Everyone in this room knows a child between the age of 3 and 18 that goes to school every day knowing they could be confronted with a shooter. Every child knows their teachers and first responders might need to rush to the scene and be confronted with that shooter. You may say, well, we had fire drills as kids. Yeah, we did. But when we went home that night, we didn't hear about a fire in a school where countless children died. Last night, once again, every child in Bridgewater went home to the news of 2 children dead and 2 teachers shot dead, knowing their school, right here in sleepy old Bridgewater, could be next. Even the former president is not safe. Law enforcement officers are particularly vulnerable. I wish they were all still here to hear this. They respond to mass shootings. They see unimaginable horrors, and they risk being shot. As to Bridgewater, thank God, we live in a state with strict gun control. But we know that anyone can cross the border to the state next door and buy an automatic rifle like the one that was used yesterday in Georgia. The profile of a mass shooter is a young adult male, usually white, often wearing a hoodie. Our officers, if you listen to the chief talk about the more recent incident, you know that our officers often respond to calls alone. A burglar alarm could mean an armed robbery with several perpetrators. A fight between young males could turn into a mass shooting. Our officers are not social workers. They're trained to be authoritative. They are human, and these scenarios take a toll on them. Most are sleep deprived, having worked rotating shifts, holidays, overtime, and off-duty work to pay bills. This is fertile ground for incidents between police officers and young adult males. What can we do in Bridgewater for our children and our officers? One, I think we can remind gun owners to keep guns and ammo separate and both locked and out of reach of children, young adults, people with mental health issues, and criminals. This can be done at back-to-school night by the principals when they address parents in our schools and each and every town newsletter. Two, we can all support gun control. Three, we can review our town ordinances to see if we can pass laws to help. Four, we could look into supplying trigger locks to gun owner residents in Bridgewater for a nominal fee. Five, we can review the shifts our officers work and studies that show which ones are best for their mental and physical health. Six, we can bring back the Citizens Police Academy and advertise it to ensure high attendance. Seven, we could consider having a gun safety awareness month. And finally, these are just a few ideas, but you as our elected officials, I'm sure could come up with even better ones. Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. I am here to, my name is Dan Zielinski, by the way. I live at 715 Chimney Rock Road. I'm here to follow up from the previous meeting where I had questions about the budget. What I'm going to say really is directed at the members of the City Council. I remain very concerned about what appears to be a rapidly deteriorating financial position that our township it appears to be, and most importantly, the lack of financial oversight by the council and the absence of any meaningful communication to residents regarding our worsening situation. There are several major indicators that we are in trouble. Among these are the record increases in taxes collected from the property owners, which is the tax levy. Another is the delay in the budget introduction, going well beyond the DCA's regulations. And still another is the second year in a row of an unsatisfactory audit of the administration's finances. And all of this happened without any significant comment from the administration or you, members of the City Council. Township Council, who are responsible for the budget and its oversight. And to me, this is a bit frightening. But let's talk about the tax levy, the amount of money, property taxes, that you collect from residents and commercial properties to run the town. The tax levy, unlike the tax rate, is totally under your control. The tax levy is your responsibility. Our out-of-pocket tax bill represents a historic 11.6 increase, moving from, in 2023, $24.3 million to $27.2 million. And this is on top of a 3% and a 4% increase from the previous 2 years. While you are increasing our taxes by over $3 million this year, without explanation, you are totally silent on your forecasted increase of an $11.5 million increase, or more than a 44.5% tax increase in this upcoming, in the next year, in 2025. A slight tax rate increase is really, in my opinion, subterfuge for the real issue facing residents, which is our tax levy. Budgets reflect choices, and choices reflect priorities. Staring at a record 11.6% tax increase and the details of this budget and poor residential inspection support, it appears that your priorities clearly favor perhaps patronage over lowering taxes and providing more essential services to Bridgewater residents. Here are my questions to you, and I don't anticipate that you would be prepared to answer them, and I'm prepared to leave them with you and come back at the next meeting to get answers to these questions. And my questions are this: what difficult choices did you make before agreeing to a record 11.6% tax increase? Was there any discussion in trimming expenses? Where exactly are we tightening our belts? It's hard to tell in reading the current budget that you guys approved at the last meeting. Our annual budget surplus balances have shrunk from $6.5 million to $3.5 million, and now this year's budget brings it down to an astonishing $445,000 balance. Was there any discussion regarding the risks of this precariously low surplus balance? The next question is, why was the budget so late? How did we get a second year with a conditional audit, especially when you, the council, promised us more fiscal insight? Our personal performances reviewed. Departments responsible for the budget being late are also receiving hefty annual increases. Who owns the oversight on performance reviews and pay increases? How can raises be given to those responsible for the audit and the budget be justified? Mr. Pedroso was the only council member voting no on the budget at the last meeting. And unfortunately, Mr. Pedroso is not here tonight, but I would like to know why he supported all of the salary and other spending measures that underpin the $3 million increase in taxes. Or was that no vote just for show? How is it that the $600,000+ budget for the OCR, the Office of Constituent Relations, a department that never existed prior to this administration in Bridgewater, being justified? Have any of you questioned their value? And why are residents still having difficulty getting timely building inspections? What efforts are being put forward to apply and gain for grants for any number of issues, including climate mitigation? I think it's interesting tonight that the gentleman from Bradley Gardens had pointed out that there are grants that are out there that could help Bradley Gardens in their seeking sidewalks. Those basically are my questions. And as I said earlier, I have no expectation that you would be answering them tonight. And I guess my only question really is, who is it that I can count on to respond to my questions moving forward? And that's all that I have to say. I appreciate your time. I also want to recognize Mr. Norgalis for his commendation from Mr. Kane. I think it's also relevant to point out how many years he has spent on the council in Bridgewater. So with that said, good evening. I'll leave a copy of my questions with the clerk. And thank you for your time. And someone left their pen up here. Oh, I guess
That's the sign-in sheet. So I'm not sure if anyone else is coming up, but before anyone else does, I would be remiss if I did not take a second here. Our policy is 2 minutes. I tried to be accommodating. I try to look at the folks speaking. If someone's going over 2 minutes a little bit and they're wrapping it up, I try to be patient. I think we're seeing presentations well over the 2 minute mark. So if you're coming up to make comments, please, I'm going to ask you to please make sure we're at the 2 minute time frame. So thank you.
Timer. All right. Should I put my name down before or after I speak?
It doesn't matter. You just need to, can you state your name? If you want, you can just state your name and address. Go ahead, on the mic. It's fine.
All right. Hello. My name is Dennis. I'm Dennis Yee of course, Bridgewater. I live on 28 Shields Lane, 08807. So first, I'd like to thank Mayor Minch for your commendation, your recognition of the campaign against ovarian cancer on behalf of my mother for reasons which are painful and obvious. I also would like to express agreement with the previous commentators about street safety and student safety from firearms. As you know, the only country where it regularly happens, for some reason we claim there is no way to prevent this, which is absurd. Okay, so today I have come to ask whether Bridgewater has completed its LGEA, Local Government Energy Efficiency Audit. So I noticed that many of our neighboring towns have received recent audits of their facilities at no cost to the town, funded by the NJCEP. The Burnsville Library, for example, was audited last year, and they identified the opportunity to save over $9,000 per year with a payoff time of only about 3 years. I believe that for the sake of fiscal responsibility, it is important to do this. It's important to keep the buildings up to date, to save money, to save energy for environmental reasons, as well as to make sure that the buildings are kept up to date for, the use of the citizenry. Like myself, I like libraries. I like using these buildings, and I like them to be comfortable. Okay, thank you. That will be all, unless you can answer some of my questions about how this audit is going or whether it's progressing.
I don't know specifically if we are engaged in it now. I know that that has been something that the township has done previously.
We've done it in the past. I think it was when I was a council. It could have been 6 or 10 years ago. I was a councilman when we did it last
Yeah.
time.
I noticed conspicuously that Bridgewater is a hole in the NJBPU list of recent audits. And I'm wondering if there's something that we should be doing about this.
Yeah, I'll look into it and see when the last time that we've had one and plans for one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 2 minutes 30 with the question and answer.
Thank you.
Seeing no additional motion, I move to close public input.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are closed. Public session is closed. Next up is 11A, which is a public hearing and final action, an ordinance to set the compensation of the mayor, township council members, department heads, and certain other municipal employees pursuant to Chapter 374 of the Public Laws of New Jersey, Public Laws of 1985, NJSA 2A:809, NJSA 2A:8-13, NJSA 40A:9-165, NJSA 40A:9-135, NJSA 40A:9-146, and Chapter 95 of the Public Laws of 1996. I don't know if the administration has anything. I just will say one piece. I know there's been, during the budget process, there was the compensation of the township council and mayor came up, more of changing in how those costs are allocated in the budget. There is no increase to the township council or the mayor. And I can't, Howard could probably tell me better when the last time it was done. Okay. So, anything further from the administration?
No.
Okay. So we need to open to the...
I'll make the motion to open to the public and conduct the hearing on ordinance 11A.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call. Actually, I'm sorry. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Open for public comment on 11A.
Seeing no apparent interest in commenting on 11A, I'll move to close the meeting and move to final action subject. I'm sorry, close the public, sorry, I don't have authority to do that. Close the public hearing, move for final action on 11A subject to any potential discussion that needs to occur before the vote.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, any discussion?
I raised this issue last time. We list it by position, and that is actually misleading because what we're talking about is salaries for specific individuals. And I think we should name the individuals because if we have a situation where somebody moves off and a new person moves in, they look at this and they say, well, if I'll simply use the tax assessor, and Anthony's a good guy, that he's in here at 155, and if we had a new assessor come in who would say, gee, I'm entitled to 155. So I think the name specificity provides an awareness as to who we're talking about and that if that person changes, we're not talking about the same level. So I want to make this, I realize it may be too late to change this because it's an ordinance, but for the future, I would like to see the salary ordinance person-specific as opposed to position-specific.
We had, Howard, you'd raised that comment at some point in time. I don't know if it's at the last meeting or just in the back and forth. And so I don't think Mr. Christine's office has had an opportunity to do it for this year, but to take a look at how we do that, because I know that the law requires us to identify positions. It could be names and positions or something, right? Yeah, something to make sure.
Or language, at least in the ordinance, that says, should this position open during the course of the year,
From a practical standpoint, what's been done in the past, as I understand it, is, if we were, let's just say, I'll pick on Mike since he's here. If Mike were to retire and we were looking to hire another administrator, we might negotiate with whoever we're hiring and say, you're coming in at a lower number. We'd have to then come back to the council, who would at that point have to amend the salary ordinance to address whatever the new salary was. It's easier to do when it's outside people as opposed to an inside person who might be applying for, if they're the deputy,
Deputy X,
deputy administrator, and now, an internal person's applying and says, to your point, well, I want that, and we say, well, maybe you're not doing it. So, but we'll try to look at it, see if we can get to it.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
No.
Roll call.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
President Ring?
Yes. Okay. 12A is an introduction of an ordinance amending Chapter 126, Part 11, Article XXXXVIIB of the Code of the Township of Bridgewater entitled Stormwater Control to reflect amendments to the New Jersey Stormwater Management Rules at NJAC 7:8, adopted July 17, 2023. Working off of the copy that was handed out this evening. Anything from?
Yeah, the only two comments I have in general is one, this is something that's required by New Jersey law. Two, we've discussed at other meetings and continue to discuss our own efforts, both within and outside of the state requirements to address stormwater issues within Bridgewater in terms of coming up with ways of addressing it at a township-wide level as well as kind of site-specific issues. And the only other thing I'd like to just add to Howard had made comments, Councilman Nogales had made comments earlier about his concerns about unfunded mandate based off of his comments and his leadership on this issue. There's a letter that Councilman Nogales and I signed that was sent to the New Jersey Council on Local Mandates that Councilman Nogales had taken the leadership on, and we sent that to them, or it's drafted. I don't know if it's actually gone out in the mail yet. It's today's date. But asking them to take a look at this issue. So thank Councilman Nogales for raising it and pushing us to get that done and for joining with me on that letter.
Okay. Need a motion to introduce?
I'll make the motion to introduce 12A.
Do we have a second? I'll second it.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
President Ring?
Yes. And if we could set final action?
Yep. Final action is scheduled for September 19th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. here in the municipal courtroom. Public inspection of this ordinance is available on the township website, the bulletin board, and through the clerk's office.
Mr. President, I do have one comment. I supported the introduction, but depending on the response back from the state committee, I will not support the adoption until I hear back from the state as to a resolution of unfunded mandate.
Okay. All right. Moving on. 13A, amending resolution number 24-03-07-087, authorizing an additional $20,000 to Darlene Green, PPAICP of Colliers Engineering and Design as affordable housing planner for the professional service contract in an amount not to exceed $20,000 for the period of March 8th, 2024 to December 31st, 2024, to be funded from the COA Trust Fund Mount Laurel expenses account.
Like additional comment here, as everyone knows, we are dealing with the new round of COA mandates, which require municipalities to do an extensive amount of work to figure out how to meet the new numbers, of which we do not know yet. The process requires the state to calculate its numbers, us to calculate our own numbers, see whether we agree with the state's numbers, and then, if not, to go through a proceeding there. So this work is to continue the work of our planner to address our COA calculations, find additional credits that may be already available, make sure we've met our obligations or exceeded them or have a plan to meet the new ones.
Okay.
If there's no further discussion, I'll move 13A.
I'll second it.
Any other comments? Roll call.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
President Ring?
Yes. 13B is amending award of contract resolution number 2403-07-086 for Catherine Sarmad, PPAICP of Harbor Consultants, Inc., Township Planner, to include an additional source of funding.
This continues continues in the same vein of us trying to address our COA needs. One of the aspects that we're looking at is to determine which township-owned properties may be available for affordable housing, or which private-owned properties could be acquired for affordable housing to the extent that's required, and that needs engineering work to look at some of those properties, along with our planner to address those issues.
Okay.
It's important to note, this is not an increase in expenses. It is simply a reallocation amongst the accounts as to where it is funded.
Correct. Thank you.
With that in mind, I'll move 13B.
I'll second.
Any other comments?
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
President Ring?
Yes. All right. I think the office staff is going to be very happy with 13C. Award of contract to One Total Cleaning Services, 130 Garfield Avenue, Plainfield, New Jersey, 07062, for janitorial services in an amount not to exceed $65,950 for the period of September 6, 2024 to September 5th, 2025.
It's a bid for our janitorial services. This will be a new vendor, and we're excited to have them on board.
I assume this includes the library.
It does not.
Does not?
They handle it themselves, the library.
Oh.
This is for this building, this complex, the senior center, and public works.
Okay. I have gotten feedback from several residents who are concerned about the cleanliness of the ladies' room at the library. I've never been in it, I want to say that, but
We appreciate you not inspecting.
We'll take a look at it, Howard.
Okay.
move
No further
13C.
discussion. I'll move 13C.
Second.
Any other comments?
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
President Ring?
Yes. Okay. 13D is authorizing project resolution for professional engineering, surveying, inspection services for the 2024 Division 6 roadway improvement project, which includes the entire lengths of Biddle Court, Davis Court, Perrine Road, and Weaver Drive to Matrix New World Engineering, Land Surveying, and Landscape Architecture, PC, 26 Columbia Turnpike, Florham, New Jersey, 07932, in the amount of $71,270 funded through the 2024 Capital Fund.
This is for engineering services for Group 6 of our road program.
Yep.
I'll make the motion to approve 13D.
I'll second it with a comment. Congratulations to us. I think this is the very earliest we have ever completed the engineering on any of our road planning work. I think that's a good thing. Second.
Okay.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
President Ring?
Yes. 13E is authorizing the execution of the police services agreement for school resource officers, SRO, with Bridgewater Board of Education, board located at 836 Newman's Lane, P.O. Box 6030, Bridgewater, New Jersey, for a one-year term commencing on August 1st, 2024.
This is to the annual agreement, which we make with the Board of Education to make sure that we have school resource officers in the school, and we're continuing to do that agreement. We made some minor modifications based on the Chief of Police's recommendations, and we're looking forward to supporting it and continuing that partnership.
Okay.
Move 13E.
I'll second.
Any other comments? Roll call.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
President Ring?
Yes. 13F is authorizing the appointment of Jenny Peterson as Municipal Court Administrator. Some people may know Jenny has been previously appointed as our interim Municipal Court Administrator while she was going through the process of completing certification. I think she's one of about 4 people in the state that earned the certification this year, and this is just continuing now without the interim title. I say that right?
That is correct. This makes her, officially the municipal court administrator. She does a terrific job, and with the onboarding of Raritan, her job responsibilities are going to increase, so we're pleased that she has her certification and that we can officially appoint her.
And, Mr. President, I'll simply say that, we all take great pride in the quality of our court. Certainly our employees are a critical component of that, and I am ready to make a motion to approve 13F.
Second 13F.
Okay. Before we do a roll call, and just two people realize it's the process overall is an extensive process and actually has to be approved by one of the justices of the state Supreme Court. So it's not something that is taken lightly.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
President Ring?
Yes. And 13G is a waiver of fire permit fee in the amount of $60 for Pioneer Family Success Center in connection with a family campfire event to be held at the Bridgewater YMCA, 601 Garrettson Road, Bridgewater, on Thursday, September 19, 2024, with a rain date of September 26, 2024.
No comment.
I'll move 13G, but I would offer this. The paperwork on this one is terrible. We have Pioneer Family Success Center. We have Wolf Family Success Center. We have Empower Somerset. There's not one consistent name throughout things. They're all good people, and I'll move it.
Agreed.
But I think they need to clean up the paperwork for the future. And I'll move it.
Okay.
I'll second 13G.
Any other comments?
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
President Ring?
Yes. All right. That completes the regular part of our agenda. We are going to have an executive session tonight. I do not believe there's a need for any action afterwards.
None is expected.
So with that, be it resolved by the Bridgewater Township Council that this body will now hold a closed meeting to discuss contract negotiations and litigation, Warren contract negotiations, potential open space acquisition, Block 519, Lot 28, contract negotiations, Green Old Grill litigation, Palms Premium Cigar and Pipe Lounge litigation. When and if the matters discussed become public record, this will be made known to the public and at that time. The public is excluded from said meeting and further notices therefore is dispensed with all within accordance of Section 8 and 4A of the Open Public Meetings Act. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to go into closed session.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think
Opposed?
you need a roll call.
Do we? Roll call for closed session?
Procedural.
No? Okay. Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I'm just saying that because there's a grid.
Where did,
I was just going because I saw a grid.
It's all right.
You can do whatever you want with that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we have completed our closed session, and I'll take a motion to resume public meeting.
Motion to resume public meeting and then adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Do we need a separate motion to, can we do one?
You know, I don't have a problem with you doing two ways once.
Okay.
Two, combining it for one time.
Okay.
Next time, we'll split it up.
Okay,
Gets you to where you want to be.
very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Lady and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
We are adjourned.
You do not have me next meeting. Nope, I will be out.